Welcome to Eternal Elements Learning Podcast, brought to you by Atyasa Online. These podcasts are a part of the audio certificate programs on Atyasa Online. You're free to take these podcasts on your desired portal also, should you only wish to learn on the go. Thank you so much for engaging on these podcasts, and you can connect with the author on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Hi, this is Niket Karajagi from Eternal Elements, brought to you by Atyasa Online. I'm talking about strategy, I'm talking about strategic management, and I'm also talking about strategic formulation right now. We discussed the mission, we discussed the vision, we had a lot of conversation around that. But there's a typical fallout of the mission vision work that I've seen in most of the organizations. And as a behavioral consultant, I tend to spend a lot of time rectifying it. And what is that problem? The problem is called the agency theory. Now, what is this agency theory? It actually comes in when we talk about management control. It is a separation of the ownership and the managers or the executives who report into the ownership of the firm, where the owner's wishes are ignored. What does that mean? It means that the mission and vision is created by the shareholders of the organization, or the stockholders of the organizations, if you please. They have their own vision, they have their own mission, and while the alignment of the mission vision is expected to happen down the line, it actually doesn't happen. So there's a misalignment of people down the line. And why does it happen? It happens primarily because they pursue their own goals. It could be because there are self-centered management decisions that get taken, which creates something called as agency costs. And what are these agency costs? The agency costs are cost of actions which are taken to minimize the agency problem, or it could also be the cost of agency problem itself, where managers are not aligned to the mission vision of the organization, and therefore that creates costs. Now, why does this agency problem occur? It can occur because of the moral hazard problem, where it happens because owners have limited access to the company information, and therefore the executives can pursue their own goals. Or it could be adverse selection. In adverse selection, what happens is that people who are hired within the organization do not have the requisite skill sets and competencies, and therefore they cannot accomplish the strategic goals set out of the vision. And because of that, the agency costs arise, because there's a deviation from the mission and vision. Now, what are the results of the agency problem? One, the managers or the executives can pursue the growth in the company size rather than the earnings. So they're not focused on profit, they're focused on territorial expansion. Or they can actually behave in a particular way by which they minimize their risks within the organization. And what are the risks? Loss of credibility, loss of job, loss of compensation. And therefore, they may start taking decisions which are not congruent with the mission and vision. They may also start playing the game of risk avoidance, because any risk taken in pursuance of mission and vision can actually create a lot of problems for them collectively, and therefore they may decide to become risk averse completely. But one of the things that I've noticed is, in order to maximize their performance appraisal outcomes, a lot of decisions get taken which are contradictory to the mission and vision, because they want to get high scores in their own performance appraisal. Primarily, the problem is that managers want to protect their own turf. And because they want to protect their own turf, they start creating deviations from the mission vision. And this deviation from the mission vision can actually be called the agency problem. Now, what does happen when the agency problem within the organization amplifies? The mission and vision become an ornamental piece. It's not practiced at all. And because of that, what happens is people across the pyramid lose faith in the organization mission and vision, and the organization creates a culture which is completely in contradiction to the mission or vision, or totally deviant, if not contradiction, from mission and vision. It takes a lot of time and effort to reconstruct the culture which has gone haywire. And therefore, every time I do mission vision workshops, I tell them, please ensure that you have everybody aligned to the mission and vision. And if that doesn't happen, then the costs are humongous. I'm sure the fact that you're listening to this podcast, you're keen on mission and vision. Therefore, you must also have a set of values which determine the behaviors of people, and you must also have a competency matrix which determines the behaviors within the organization, which aligns people to mission and vision. When your behaviors in form of competency grids are defined accurately, and when the values are defined accurately, you are to a large extent able to control the agency problem within the organization. Thank you very much. This is Niket Karajagi signing off from Atessa Online, and I shall see you in the next podcast where we proceed in the process of strategic management in the 21st century. Thank you so much for listening to these podcasts, and I shall see you again in the next podcast. Thank you so much once again. Bye-bye.